Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching Democratic Newsroom. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. We had a very interesting episode of the Democratic Newsroom last week. Since then, a lot has happened. You've seen, of course, in the last 24 hours, a lot of Pakistani artists, cricketers, channels, YouTube channels, Instagram handles being unblocked and then blocked again. The Asia Cup, the nod has been given for the Pakistani hockey team to come to India to play the Asia Cup. So questions right now being asked about what really India's Pakistan policy is. That's our focus in this edition of Democratic Newsroom. Is India's Pakistan policy inconsistent? I have with me here in our studios Rajdeep Sardesai, Pranay Upadhyay of India Today Global, Anjali Istwal, to my left Gaurav Sawant, and Geeta Mohan, a Foreign Affairs editor. Rajdeep, to you first. Last week, of course, we had a very animated conversation about this, where you said that, we should have ties with Pakistan culturally and also in sports. So are you happy that the Asia Cup is moving forward? Did you think that was a good step to unblock these handles?
This has nothing to do with my happiness and sadness, Akshita. All I can say, and I'm going to be very careful this time, given what happened last week, that I believe we've been frankly consistently consistent with this government, barring the first few years when you had Prime Minister Modi invite Nawaz Sharif for his swearing in, then the jhappiyas and papiyas that followed in 2015 in Lahore. By and large, particularly over the last 5 years, this government has been very clear. No Indian team has visited Pakistan. No Indian sports team has visited Pakistan. Cultural exchanges have been limited. Visas are restricted. So I don't see any major change. Yes, one YouTube channel here and there may have got unblocked, largely because sometimes the left hand in the bureaucracy doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Someone must have said June 30th as the last date for blocking, and then suddenly realized, oh, it's 1st July, and woken up to the reality of it. That happens in any government. So I'm going to give the government the benefit of doubt for that. But I do believe, and I said this last week, and I say it again, that eventually some element of sporting and cultural exchanges are inevitable. I'm not saying it will change the relationship substantially. It will not end terror. It will not perhaps even constrain the Pakistani army state. But the truth of the matter is, you have cultural exchanges and sporting exchanges as part of normal civilized behavior.
Do you think the government recognizes that too, and that's why you're seeing things like the Asia Cup moving forward?
No, look, I think the government will say that this is an international tournament. This is not a bilateral series. We haven't invited Pakistan hockey team to play against India. They're playing in a World Cup. They're playing in an Asia Cup. They'll have reasons for it. It's all very well. In fact, last week I forgot to tell you, you should find out from Captain Amrinder Singh of the BJP. One of Amrinder Singh's pet projects was to get the two Punjabs to play each other in sports, in kabaddi and other sports. And from what he told me, it was hugely successful for a while. It all depends on the political climate. Now you're still in the post-Pahalgam doom, and therefore you believe that these cultural exchange and sporting contacts should not take place. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? We've seen it with Mr. Vajpayee. We've seen it with Manmohan Singh. We've seen it with several prime ministers. Hawa badalti hai, hum nahi badalte. I can tell you, hum nahi badalte. I still believe that there are lots of decent people in Pakistan who we should be communicating with. Gaurav Sawant's comment should be heard by Pakistanis, and Gaurav Sawant must also be open enough to listen to what Pakistanis say. Let there be YouTube channels on both sides. What's the problem? We have nothing to hide. If we have nothing to hide, open up the airwaves.
Gaurav, listen to both sides. That they should listen to you, you should listen to them.
I wish Rajdeep and several others in India would listen to the Pakistani side when Mubashir Luqman, a Pakistani anchor, goes on record to say that he considers Indian actresses to be male ghanimat or war booty and sex slaves. That's the civil society of Pakistan that we're talking about, and it's not just one sundry stray statement that comes from a Mubashir Luqman who considers Indian women to be sex slaves and war booty. It's actually their psyche. Point one. Point two, here the people on the streets, they say exactly the same thing. During Operation Sindoor, when their army trucks were moving to the border, they were saying, oh, bring back Indian women as sex slaves. So, you must have cultural exchanges with such elements who want you to be, their sex slaves. That's the mindset that country has. Yes, we keep changing. Yahan hawa badalti rehti hai. We are not consistent. But Pakistan, since 15th of August 1947 has been consistently bleeding India, whether it was sending terrorists backed by Pakistan army into Jammu and Kashmir, raping, murdering, plundering people. That massacre you may have forgotten in Baramulla when nuns were raped and killed, but then Kashmir remembers that. And it started in 1947. It's consistently happened.
No, you're saying...
1990, no, hear me out. You let Rajdeep complete his point, let me complete my point. 1990, Hindu women were raped and murdered in Kashmir. You had mosque loudspeakers being used for saying Raliv, Galiv, ya Saliv. You've had instances of Kashmiri women being gang raped and sawed into half by these terrorists. You want cultural exchanges with such people? Sure, go ahead, but you're just bringing more doom and gloom to your future generations.
When you say inconsistent, we're inconsistent. Are you saying the government is?
Government, civil society, because we are filled with this notion that they want to be friends with you. Is there anything to show since 1947 that they want to be friends with you? Has anybody in Pakistan shown that willingness, that consistency? If they are scared for their lives and they are scared of their army, I'd rather keep that terror at an arm's length. If there is a mad dog, I wouldn't go and pet that mad dog. I'd either shoot it or stay at an arm's length.
Okay.
He's using the same language that he accuses the Pakistani anchors of. If you go through Gaurav Sawant, what some of the things he said...
I'm sorry. I did not say they're sex slaves.
What you say
I did not say Pakistanis are sex slaves. I don't want their women to be sex slaves.
You use false
One
language.
at a time.
And if we start talking about gang rape and the tragedy of this country... The tragedy of this country is that there have been awful communal riots that have taken place within our country as well.
So that's why we give Pakistan a clean chit. So we give Pakistan a clean chit.
I'll give you a chance to respond. I'll give you a chance to respond.
I'm not giving... I am against broad generalizations. That's all I'm saying. I agree with Gaurav Sawant. There are people in Pakistan, anchors, unfortunately even some cricket players, who speak a language that is unacceptable. Unacceptable totally. I agree with Gaurav Sawant. An anchor who speaks such language should be isolated, should be ostracized. Couldn't agree with him more. But just because a few anchors speak that, you can't generalize that about a nation. And sadly, there are people in this country today who are mimicking their language rather than showing that we are different. That's my problem. That we are better. That we are better. If they go low, we can't go lower. We should be going higher.
We should
start using the same language as them.
And
That's not the way forward.
Isolated.
You use the uncivilized language about them.
Shahid Afridi, when Hindus were being singled out and massacred at Pahalgam, 25 Hindus, their name, their religion was asked, and then they were shot dead at point blank range. What was Shahid Afridi saying? Toast of this Lutyens cabal in Delhi. Shahid Afridi, what was he saying? You have 8 lakh soldiers, words to that effect. You have 8 lakh soldiers, Pahalgam happens. इसका मतलब तुम लोग नालायक हो, तुम लोग निकम्मे हो. And we want to open our doors and hearts to such elements.
I agree with you.
He's agreeing with you.
I agree with Gaurav. Who is quoting Shahid Afridi? Not the Lutyens cabal. It's your BCCI representatives and cricketers who are spotted with him in Dubai. They were having TV shows with him. They are sitting on the stadium. Ministers in this government were sitting with the same Shahid Afridi. My limited point. So therefore your generalizations that you make, Lutyens cabal, don't work anymore. This is very nice in a TV program. I will show you all the photographs of who was sitting with Shahid Afridi and who's giving him contracts.
But instead of calling each other, I just want to say...
Rajdeep, just hold on.
I just want to reply to Gaurav about one thing he asked, and that is, when has Pakistan shown that it wants to talk? I am not saying that Pakistan is an angel and we should always be talking to them. But we have seen instances like the Kartarpur corridor, which many of us covered. We went over there. And that was a signal. At that point of time, the government wanted to talk. So the regime changes. There is influence of the Pakistani army. And that is why we see such, hatred coming from there. But as we've talked about it last time also, and we've talked about it personally also, Gaurav, I do feel we culturally are the same. And if they don't have a good culture, according to you right now, then why not exchange our culture? Give them our culture. Let's make them better.
Pranay?
I have no interest in making
Gaurav,
Pakistani better. No interest. I just want to stay away from them.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Pranay.
Anjali, there is a point. As far as the Kartarpur Corridor project is concerned, of course, we all have covered, we have gone there. But you see what happened. Kartarpur Corridor process was a long pending process. Pakistan used it for their own political agenda, and we could see, how the Khalistani project was coupled with that Kartarpur Corridor project. And we could see the Bajwa policy. We could see Asim Munir's project.
One poster of a Khalistani during
Not
the
one
program
project.
is not a...
No, Anjali, you have not been to Nankana Sahib. We have covered that process. And Nankana Sahib, if you see, that consistently they have been using that place. Unfortunately, sorry to say, but that holy place is being used for the political objectives. We know the individuals, those who are guarding the gurdwaras there, and they are... So good if you have been there, then how it is being used, we can't overlook the fact. But still, Kartarpur corridor is still active. We are giving those permits, but at least the government has to check those, who gets permit and who travels across the border.
I agree with you. And if I may, if
Quickly,
the
I think
Pakistanis
Geeta
are
has to
so
come
good,
on this.
yes, and Geeta must also respond to this, and so must all of us. If the Pakistanis are so good, why are they forcibly converting Hindus, Christians and Sikhs in Pakistan? If they want good relations, let minorities flourish in Pakistan. Let that happen. That doesn't happen.
See, they want to back to the same debate that we had last time around, and it's not just about the ban on the YouTube channels and the stars anymore, because the same thing, Gaurav, I said to you last time around as well, that it is the Pakistani state.
Mia Mithu is not Pakistani state.
State-sponsored, state-supported. All those extreme, radical extremist elements in Pakistan are state-supported. Otherwise, they won't thrive.
No, so how do you
Half the
differentiate?
time
How do you
won't
differentiate,
thrive.
Geeta?
But
For
the
example,
civilians,
let me give you an example.
The people over there
Let me give you an
are
example.
different. Not everybody is the
So
same.
let me give you an example.
You
For
have to
example,
understand that they
Hania
suffer.
Amir, who's so popular, she's an actor. When she puts out a post where she goes ahead and refers to India and Indian forces as cowardly, speaks about Operation Sindoor, doesn't condemn the Pahalgam terror attack, what do you then deem them as? They're artists. They're not extremists.
Akshita, they're Pakistanis.
So then where
it's
do
a
you
military
differentiate?
operation. They will side with their government. I'm not saying
Condemn terror?
I'm not a spokesperson for Hania Amir. I'm talking, and most of these stars are kids of generals, kids of military officers. They have such strong military backing. They come from very affluent class. I'm talking about the stars
Gaurav next. Hold on.
Agenda, but we should also follow the Pakistani
Okay, let
agenda.
Ravi come in.
And
We are following the
we should
Pakistani
not. We should not.
No,
keep
Gaurav,
Okay, everyone,
fellow
just hold on.
Indians
Just hold on,
Gaurav,
please.
I
You have to listen to the moderator. Just give Rajdeep a chance.
My limited
I'm
point.
just saying
my
that there is
limited
a
point.
distinction.
My limited point is don't make broad generalizations.
Yes.
Gaurav Samant mentioned an anchor who used certain language unacceptable. Gaurav Samant mentioned Shahid Afridi, the kind of attitude he's shown, the kind of remarks he's made, unacceptable.
May I present more?
For every,
I have a long list. I have a long list.
All of them
just a minute, for every Shahid
unacceptable.
Afridi, I will also introduce Gaurav Samant to a Zahir Abbas. And you should meet Zahir Abbas and you should talk to Zahir Abbas, the great Pakistani cricketer, about how he's built relationships with India across the border. Likewise, in every field of life, you will have people who will spew venom, hate against India, unacceptable. We have but unfortunately, there are also people in this country who today spew venom and hate on the other side, and they feed on each other. I refuse to be part of these two extreme groups who are feeding on each other. That's my problem. Okay. And the more we deny each other a chance to talk to each other with civility, the more the extremes on both sides get powerful. That's my worry. I am trying to. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but I continue to hope. I know of a letter writing competition that young Indian school kids in Mumbai had with young Indian school kids in Pakistan. It was very successful. That doesn't mean that the Pakistani state has changed. That doesn't mean that there are hate-filled, venomous people who target India. That doesn't mean terror will stop. I am only saying the less space you give to civility, the more you empower the extremes on both sides of the border. That's where I have a problem. That's my limited point. Yes, young man here wanted to speak. Sorry.
Yeah. Gaurav
is not young. He's young. Gaurav is getting old.
I come to you, Pranay. Gaurav, quickly, your response. That there's good and bad on both sides. You indulge with the good, you communicate with the good.
I completely agree with Government of India when they say you cannot equate the perpetrator of terror and the victim of terror. And like Donald Trump, in his lack of wisdom, and some others, lack of wisdom or otherwise, they seem to be equating India and Pakistan. You cannot equate the two. The Pakistani civil society, if it wants good relations with India, after almost 80 years of bleeding at the hands of the Pakistani state, I want evidence. You know, there's a saying, in God I trust, everywhere else I want data. I want evidence that Pakistan wants good relations with India. Otherwise, I do not want to open either my home or my heart and bleed again and again and again. I don't. You know, let them be happy. Look, I'll tell you what these Pakistanis do. Hear me out. Pakistanis mint money in India. Their film industry is a disaster. Their cricketing will not work without India. So they want to come to India. They want to make money in India. The moment they make money in India, they again want to go back to Pakistan and spew venom. So, you know, we named a few. I have a long list which runs into 7-8 pages. Mahira Khan. Operation Sindoor, seriously cowardly act. She has experienced hate and rhetoric. Fawad Khan, this is an attack on terrorist training camp. Fawad Khan supposed to be this heartthrob. I don't know why. But Fawad Khan, what does he say? Deepest condolences to the families of those killed and injured in India's targeting of Bahawalpur, Murid.
But Gaurav, these are Pakistanis.
Then why should they make money in India? Why should they make money in India?
Was portraying the attacks on the terrorist organization as attack on civilians.
Yes.
So
imagine, we are hitting Lashkar-e-Taiba.
If media is accused of peddling lies everywhere, in our side of the border also, and their side of the border also, okay? So maybe they are also falling victims to that. So if a common man over there believes what their media, obviously a spineless media, let's go by what the popular opinion is, if they are telling them the civilians died, they will write those things. So not that I'm saying, but I don't know. I have not read his tweet. Did he use bad language?
Why are we so desperate to give that benefit of the doubt to Pakistanis?
You see, you know, what the two sides, what citizens of the two sides say during a warlike situation, each one of them will wear their national flag, their national identity with pride. Our TV channels, Anjali said spineless media. Let us not try. No, 1 minute. Let us also introspect. Ours is the media which said we have marched into Islamabad, that we have bombed Karachi port.
We bombed Balir Cantonment. That is Karachi.
Okay, one at a time. Yeah.
When you are in a warlike situation, you are facing propaganda battles on both sides. Actors, citizens, civil society all get caught in these propaganda battles on both sides. That's the reality. If in normal times people use the kind of words, some of the words that Gaurav said actors have used or anchors have used, unacceptable, they should be ostracized, and they will be. Civil, please understand.
Not being. They're getting film roles in India.
1 minute. On both sides of the border, I maintain there are extreme voices and there are voices of moderation. Unfortunately, in the last 30 years, the voice of extreme have now taken over. They've got normalized, and therefore voice of moderation, if you want to call me as a voice of moderation, is branded today anti-national. That's what's happened, unfortunately, in the last 30 years. I'm more than happy to live with it. I will still persist in ensuring that the voices of civility, I'm making a distinction. Voices of civility will be encouraged. Voice of extremity in Pakistan, I will condemn them and I will call them out. I want to make that distinction very clearly.
I want you to call them out. I want you to repeatedly call them out.
Unfortunately, in this country, the so-called voice of extremity, who call people like me anti-national, are the ones who engage Shahid Afridi. Who go with Shahid Afridi are spotted sitting in a VVIP enclosure during the Asia Cup.
The reality is, one second. Both of you agree on that. Let's be very clear. Both of you agree at least on one thing, which is that, you know, you should go ahead and call out the extremist elements who make these kind of comments. We've got to a point.
First let him make his point, then I want to come in.
Akshita, the problem remains the Nazariya of Pakistan, the very founding of Pakistan. Pakistan is founded on that hardcore religious extremist idea. And that is a fact. We have to accept that fact. And if you see, I'm sure many people here have read the book of Hussain Haqqani, Pakistan Military to Mosque. The military and mosque relationship in building Pakistan and keeping Pakistan intact is the very basis of Pakistan. And, we all agree that rational voices are there on the either side of the border. Yes, they are there. But how much importance they get, how much voice do they have? Are they marginalized in the Pakistan
course they're
polity? That remains a
They
problem.
will get more
course.
marginalized if
Of
you
course they're
are
marginalized.
involved in it. Please understand this. You say Pakistan is founded on religion, on the mosque. The truth is, within Pakistan, look at the battles that are taking place
Yeah.
within communities. We've seen battles at various levels. The Shia
But that's
Sunni
not our
battles.
problem.
No, it's not our problem. I am saying in any
security is
society,
our problem.
in any society,
Security is a
no,
problem.
in any society, there will be multiple voices. My limited point is, our attempt should be to encourage the voices of civility and moderation, and at the same time, isolate, target, condemn, and ostracize the voices of extremism.
You know, there
Can
were
we do
three-
that? Can we do
That's
that?
the military and the
Can
mosque.
we do that? Why can't we do that?
If Bashir Badr can travel to Pakistan, yes, he was welcome. If Javed Akhtar traveled Pakistan, yes, he was welcomed there. So Faiz Ahmed Faiz visited India. He was welcomed here.
But now we no longer do that
Muni
also.
Niazi came
That's
to
my
India.
point.
And even he's...
You are right. There was a time when we did that. Now we don't do it.
What did Vajpayee said? Vajpayee said that every peace initiative was taken by India during his time.
Agreed.
He said
No, but
that
that's the
every
point.
peace
Let
initiative...
Pakistan take the peace initiative after demonstrative action against India's
No, this relationship has always been
agreed.
No, so let Pakistan...
Agreed with you on that.
Because that's a fact. Rajdeep,
Then I agree
everything that I
with you.
say is backed by empirical evidence of Pakistani hatred towards India, and I fail and I will not fall for people saying false equivalence between
generalizations
India and
are being made
Pakistan.
again.
There is no equivalence between a state sponsor of
Anjali.
radical Islamist terror and a victim.
we
But
have-
let me quickly make the point that I want to make. In Pakistan,
You still want to make a point?
yeah,
I
I'm
thought you
trying
made all the
to.
points.
I
Hold on,
am trying
Rajdeep.
to.
Go
Very
ahead.
desperately trying to.
Rajdeep.
I simply want to say, if Pakistan wants good relations with India, if their civil society wants good relations with India, let them show action on ground. And one thing, take action against Hafiz Saeed. That's the least we can expect them to do.
Dawood Ibrahim also.
Take action against Dawood Ibrahim.
Dawood Ibrahim
Taskar.
also.
Civil society's
So,
responsibility.
then
That's
let
the
them put
state.
pressure. Let them put pressure on the Pakistani state. And if they cannot, then please spare me. I do not want any more Indians to die for this Aman ki Asha.
But-
there is no Aman ki
but-
Asha.
but-
And
no.
we are permanently.
Gaurav, let
we
me
are
address
Keita,
now we are
Keita,
war
Keita.
with Pakistan. We fail to realize
Gaurav,
that.
You keep saying
That has always
this.
remained a
When
paradoxical
has-
situation
but
that Aman
hold
ki
on.
Asha or Shuja Pasha.
Okay,
But
okay.
Pranay,
Go ahead,
when
go
has
ahead.
this? When has any of this been a deterrence? But has Pakistan stopped its terror factories just because we stopped talking or we condemn everybody, every Pakistani as a terrorist?
If
When
someone
has that
tries to
happened?
intrude your space, what will you do,
No,
Geeta?
what
You just have to
no,
guard your
Pranay,
fences.
I'm saying
This is
when has it been a deterrence?
But you
if
know-
you say that I don't want to do this because I don't want to see people die, means that you're saying if we do this, we'll stop seeing terrorism.
We
from
haven't had
Pakistan.
a
Do we
26/11
recognize-
Mumbai
do we
terror
also-
attacks.
do
Again,
we have to-
But Pahalgam. Okay,
We've
again,
had
hear me out.
Uri.
Again,
We've had Pathankot.
Yes.
But then
We've
that's
But I
had-
think we have to
So
come
do
back
we
to the point
recognize
that
the
we
fact?
the
Do
point
we
is
recognize
consistency
the
of policy.
fact?
Again,
Do we
the
recognize the fact that
magnitude-
right
the
now the
magnitude-
situation?
Again, you see, then there are 4 people making 1 point, and if I'm to
No,
counter
they're
it-
not.
No,
You're
just
the
hold
only
on,
person
just
speaking.
hold on.
let me make
You're
the
the only
point.
person speaking. You're not allowing others.
Post 2019 Balakot attack, we haven't had a single terror attack outside Jammu and Kashmir post Balakot. Point 1. Point 2, we haven't had a 26/11 Mumbai terror
we've
attack.
had terror attacks.
Again,
One minute.
Can I complete?
No, 1 minute. Gaurav, again you must
complete my
No, no,
point?
Gaurav, no, no, 1
One
minute.
second, sorry,
Since
I'm
you
sorry,
said no,
sorry,
because
time
you
out
mislead
again,
people.
time out, time out.
No, no, you mislead.
Time out, time out.
166
Hold on,
people in
Rajdeep,
2008
hold on.
Mumbai.
We cannot,
Am I
no, we
right in
can't go on with
saying
this. Hold
that
on.
between 2008 November, when the Mumbai attack took place, till 2015, for about 7 years, we had outside, just the same point that you're making, we had no major terror attack outside Jammu and
German bakery.
One minute,
German bakery.
after 2008,
I'm sorry, hold on.
Yes,
after
German
2008,
I will give you a chance
German
to
bakery was
respond.
2009.
Hold on.
Yeah, there were 1 or 2, but the broad
Zaveri Bazaar.
There was
Zaveri
no,
Bazaar.
no, that was way earlier.
No,
Earlier.
2011.
What
Hold
I
on,
don't
hold on.
understand
What do you
is
say?
how is
Magnitude.
all this related
2 people dying and 166
Major,
killed.
major terror attack,
Hold on,
major.
I'm sorry, we can't have...
Sorry, please go ahead.
Time
Sorry.
out, everyone time out. I wish I could
Sorry,
mute.
sorry.
I can't mute in
Yes.
this studio.
So,
Anjali.
go ahead.
Now, my point is, we've completely strayed. You know, either you talk about the fact that Indian government should now start thinking about building relationships and should start talking to Pakistan. Is that the point? No, we're not talking about that. We are talking about cultural and YouTube bans and whatnot. That is the lowest rung of any kind of action that
No,
anybody
so
could
is that
do.
because of the fact that we're looking at an unprecedented situation of post-Pahalgam?
we have seen other situations. We've seen 2016. We've seen attacks like this earlier, and banning channels and YouTube voices has never helped. So I think...
Why should Pakistanis make money out of India?
Hold on,
Their
please.
YouTube channels, they will make money.
Gaurav, time out.
Why do you want them to
Why
do that?
don't we
One second,
take
I'm sorry,
action
you have
about
to
the
let
Pahalgam
everyone
attacks?
speak.
Why don't we get those people who've done it? And then
Operation Sindoor was taking action. Operation Sindoor is taking action
Yes,
on Pahalgam.
yes.
I know
Further?
you're saying if we listen to each other's YouTubers, they end up making money. My limited point is,
Yes
in
or
an
no?
age, 1 minute, in an age of information overload, what is far worse is information darkness.
There is no information darkness in today's day and
One
age.
minute. I think both sides need to hear each other out. You don't want to see some YouTuber who's spewing venom against India. You don't have to see him.
Block.
Who has started? You can block him. My limited point is
That's what the government has done for a
please go
nation.
ahead. Please
Block
go
them.
ahead.
on an individual.
And block.
Now,
And
please.
then block.
And then the point is that the problem between the two countries is we take knee-jerk actions, we take ad hoc actions without a consistent long-term policy. My limited long-term
Yes.
policy is simply this, and we saw it with Captain Amrinder Singh, I repeat, when he was Chief Minister of Punjab. He made a genuine effort to get the two Punjabi sides of the across the border to have sporting exchanges, cultural exchanges, and you can ask him. He himself found it was a major bridge builder. Now, I'm not saying it's going to change anything overnight, but when you have sanity restored in an insane atmosphere, it's something to be treasured. If I can speak to fellow journalists from Pakistan, let's say from a Geo TV, and we can have a conversation, what's wrong with that? Why should that not happen?
Pranay is already watching.
Please understand, 1 minute, before every major cricket match, 1 minute, before every major cricket match, I can recall in the last several years, Aaj Tak and Geo TV would have joint programs where the anchors would speak to each other, cricketers would speak to each other. Wo sab theek hai, tab changa si. That's changa. Now suddenly, after back, nahi, kaun hai, ye dushman hai. Kya tumhara double standards hai? In this channel
only. You want to play cricket or not? Let's not go into all this.
Add something that every time there is anything that is where you see forward movement between India and Pakistan on people to people, you know who gets riled the most? It's the Pakistani military to no end.
And
the
Gaurav Sawant.
Pakistani military.
And Gaurav Sawant.
Come on,
Pakistani military and Gaurav Sawant get riled. It's true. He said it on the show.
Can I just simply say that Rajdeep may think that there is a switch on and switch off mechanism in Pakistan terror towards India?
No, I
there
never
is
said
no
that.
switch off.
I never said that.
There is
I never said
consistent.
that.
It's only
Please don't
people like
I never said
Rajdeep
that.
who switch off.
No,
but
please don't.
Pakistan is continuously bleeding India. Continuously bleeding.
Again, one second, I'm sorry.
You are not answering my question.
Continuously bleeding India non-stop. Pakistan since 1947 is leading India. Unfortunately,
one second. When nobody listens to the moderator, I will call. When nobody listens to the moderator, I will call time out. Nobody else is seen on screen. Nobody else is seen. When nobody listens to the moderator, I have to keep yelling time out.
Okay.
Now, Pranay, go ahead. You wanted to make a point.
No, I just wanted to add to this thing that Rajiv doesn't have to convince Gaurav to watch Pakistani channel. He's already monitoring it. And on his phone also, he monitors it because, you know, as an anchor, as a journalist, he has to keep monitoring the channels. But besides that,
Tell me one thing.
Yeah.
You really think that by blocking half a dozen YouTube channels or however many, terrorism will stop?
So you think it should be unblocked,
Look at the
Rajdeep?
pointlessness. If you want to strike, as you've done with
so
the
you
Indus
think it
Valley,
should be unblocked?
do something.
You think it should be
Do
unblocked?
You
something.
mentioned about the information age.
You
Yes.
need it. We need information on
but
both sides.
But you control the kind of information you let your wider audience consume. The kind of narrative.
You are not
kind of misinformation.
Who are you to
The
decide
kind
what
of
I consume?
misinformation Pakistan
Is
spreads
there a narrative
through
war?
these YouTube
That's so
channels.
1984.
No,
I'm
it's not
sorry.
No, so there's no narrative war.
let
Anjali,
me-
there's no
let me
narrative
decide.
war that needs to be addressed. You don't think so?
No, why I
propaganda
said it's
being
so
spread?
1984 is when you say
It is
information
Orwellian.
needs to be curtailed, you use the word, firstly, information, not propaganda. Propaganda, yes, you may, but we are a country that puts a lot of importance onto the freedom of expression, not of other people. I'm not saying Pakistanis have freedom of expression in India.
Indians have
But,
it, yeah.
but my point is, we don't stop information from flowing. This is not... And
This
as far
is
as
misinformation and propaganda.
army is concerned, I have a
Pakistan
thing
uses
to say.
information
Just
as
one
a
thing.
weapon
One
to
thing,
bleed us.
just one thing.
And
I'm
to
not
bleed
Hold on,
us.
Gaurav, just hold on. Let Anjali
Just
hold on.
Just
Everyone
one
say,
thing.
hold on. Yeah, Anjali.
Who do you think is the only power that will ever be able to defeat the Pakistani army from within? It will be the people of Pakistan. And if you want that to happen, you need to convince them that we have some sort of a connection with them and there is hope in talking to each other.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Gaurav.
Also, Anjali, just adding to that, you know, when they watch our shows, when they watch what's happening in India, they're almost envious that they don't have
Yes,
that.
they are.
They don't have that. They're envious of India. People over there are actually living under, it is a military state.
No, about good things, Geeta, there is an appreciation on either side. We also appreciate certain things of Pakistani, that it could be anything.
No, but the point that Anjali made.
I just want to make a very limited
No, that's why
point.
their anchors have said that they want to come to Lal
Okay,
Killa, they
just
want to
hold
come
on.
to,
Yeah.
to
No, just a
Ayodhya.
limited
We
point.
haven't said.
When Gaurav keeps saying that, you know, you should stop this, you don't trust your own people.
No, but is there a blanket ban on
Okay,
every
let's
Pakistani handle? No.
I'm saying
There
trust,
isn't.
but trust your own citizens.
Okay,
your
let's
own
talk
people.
about one
Better.
aspect here.
Baba,
They
only
know when
selected
there's
one.
misinformation.
Okay, hold
they
on,
know.
hold on.
We are well
What
read,
about
well educated,
what about what's
civilized
happening
country.
now and the clearance that's been given for the Asia Cup and the Pakistani team coming to India? Gaurav,
Can I just quickly
is that
just
okay for
mention
you?
that trust your own people? Of course, trust your own people. But in the fog of war, when they spread misinformation, when they spread disinformation, that is where you need to control the kind of access
Then
that
government
Pakistan
should control. Government should control it.
No, that's exactly what the government is doing. My only
Okay, but are
problem
you
is with
okay?
lack of consistency.
On the Asia Cup.
Okay, I have for very long held that if South Africa could be banned for apartheid, Pakistan should be banned for terror, and it has to be a consistent
I'll come to you.
policy.
Hold on.
It has to be an India-led ICC effort. You have to galvanize the world. And how do you do it? You lead by example. You have the money, you have the power. You know, we need a Bhamasha in this country. Remember when Maharana Pratap was fighting the Mughals? That was the time Maharana Pratap did not have money. Bhamasha gave everything that he had. He said, you buy weapons and you fight.
I'll come to you, Rajdeep. Hold on.
We need a Bhamasha
I'll
approach.
let you come in. Just
We
hold
need
on.
that
No interventions,
Bhamasha
please.
approach in dealing with Pakistan terror for the
Okay.
simple reason you get Pakistan out of ICC cricket. It will then send across a message, and you use your money power. You use your power as a big power. We will not play cricket with Pakistan. Not that we will back out. They will not play ICC.
Rajdeep, uninterrupted now. Rajdeep.
You know, this is the absurdity. When you link apartheid of South Africa with terror of Pakistan, please do it. You've had ample
think it's
opportunity.
absurd?
One minute. I'll tell you why. You must allow me now to complete without
interruption. Gaurav,
interruption.
please.
For the last 30, 40 years, we've had enough opportunity, right? You are the superpower of cricket. You are ICC is controlled in a way by you. You are one of the big players even in the FIH, the Federation of International Hockey. Please go ahead. I'm not stopping you. When apartheid, when South Africa was ostracized, there was a collective global action.
Which is exactly what I'm saying we want, we should have.
At the moment, what do you have? At the moment, I repeated this from last week. You went to the IMF. You were unsuccessful. Pakistan gets a second tranche of loan. ADB, unsuccessful. Pakistan is a member of the non-permanent 15 at the moment. They are just the vice chair of the counter-terrorism committee. They are the chairman of the Taliban sanctions committee. To compare the Pakistan of today, therefore, to the South Africa of the past, where South Africa was ostracized globally. Globally, I'm making the point globally. Please understand the distinction. You were able to isolate South Africa globally. That's why South Africa was not allowed to play with any country in the world. You have not succeeded in isolating Pakistan globally. You are unable to do so. And yet you see, this is the problem where rhetoric outstrips the reality. Very nice to sit in a Noida studio like Gaurav Sawant says, we must get the ICC.
We must
to it.
try.
It's not happened. You've tried and
you lack the courage, you lack the conviction
Who,
in
me?
your own country.
I'm not an
Because-
ICC member.
No,
Please tell this to Jai Shah.
We've always been so
Miss
divided
Gaurav,
as
Mr.
a
Gaurav
nation.
Sawant should
And
call
that's-
Jai Shah on the
that's-
program.
That's the reason
Why are
for
you
it.
asking me?
This is a civilization that has had too many Mir Jafars within.
It's
Those
easier to
Mir
get
Jafars
global
within do
opinion
not
together on a
let that
human
national
rights issue.
consensus happen.
Not on two countries'
I'm going to
sovereignty
now
issues.
get closing comments from everyone
I
because
want
I'm running out of time.
Gaurav
This will
Sawant to
keep
bring
going,
Jai
keep
Shah on his
going,
program
keep
and say,
going.
Jai Shah, Why haven't you isolated Pakistan in the ICC? Please ask him this question.
I have written about it. I have written about it. I have spoken about it. As a journalist, that is all that I can do.
Gaurav is doing this at 1 second.
Unfortunately, I do not fix cabinet berths and like those dalal journalists who are doing. I can only write and speak about it. That's exactly what I do.
And I am asking you a question. Why are you getting so under your
No,
Why have you been unable to do it?
Again, time out.
I can only write and speak.
Geeta, closing comments.
Well, I'm just, I'll repeat what I said last time around. The government over here has a right to do what it wants to, but there should be an order, there should be clarity in what it wants.
You want a crystal clear policy.
Yes, and believe in your citizens. They know right from wrong. They will also know misinformation and disinformation from what, do they not watch Indian channels to know exactly what's happening? Are they going to believe Pakistani channels over Indian channels? I'm sorry, have some faith in your own people. Freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of expression are very important to keep a democracy going. Prime Minister Modi made that very clear today in his speech in Ghana. So let's just go back to the idea of democratic values and from there look at how we're looking and approaching things, even with the neighbor.
Okay, I'll go to Anjali next, Gaurav and Rajdeep last because you will not listen to me on time. Anjali.
No, I have a guest coming. If I walk out in the middle, it's not because I'm walking out for any other reason.
So, see, India currently is not in the position, as Gaurav had mentioned, to completely isolate Pakistan. I mean, the chief of air staff or the air chief is right now enjoying parties with the US. So, and clearly they're buying, apparently they're buying some equipment, defense equipment also. And we are also buying. So both of us are actually buyers of the same country. So I don't know who's benefiting here, only US. But my point is, currently we need to focus on the fact that if you do not have a dialogue, and you choose right now not to have a formal dialogue, you are not sitting across the table in terms of two governments or two emissaries, then sorry, you need to have some sort of an informal connection, I feel.
Quick, Pranay, quick.
I think I agree with Anjali on this count that it's, our effort to isolate a country may not result in the global isolation of a country. Yes, but every policy cannot be a static policy. You have to be dynamic about it, and the dynamism of the policy depends on this. Relationship has always been accident prone, and we have to respond accordingly. The only effort, the only objective is to let Pakistan feel the cost of it, what they do, and make them realize that this is going to happen, this is going to hurt them if they continue the policy of terrorism.
Okay, Rajdeep. Last time, Rajdeep had the last word. This time, Gaurav will have the last word. Rajdeep.
You're being very unfair to me. You're being very unfair to me. But either way, I will say my belief is strengthen the voices of moderation and sanity, reject and completely isolate the voices of extremism. The more you can do that, I think the more you will open some windows of hope. Otherwise, you will have two countries, both in areas of darkness, both viscerally, increasingly hating each other. And I'm not sure whether hatred is a solution in the times in which we live. So my final point is wherever you can find voices of moderation and sanity being strengthened in Pakistan, please do it. Wherever you see voices of extremism on the other side of the border spewing hate against India, please call them out, target them, isolate them. I would therefore call for some kind of a two-track policy rather than a policy which is generalizing every Pakistani with a monochromatic color. That I find will only end up strengthening further, worryingly, the voice of extremism in Pakistan.
Okay, don't paint them all with the same brush, Gaurav.
I think Pakistanis are by and large 50 shades of Hafiz Saeed. We've had 3 former High Commissioners of Pakistan in India who were the toast of Lutyens' cabal, the Khan Market cabal in our country. 3 High Commissioners, all 3 justified terror in Jammu and Kashmir as a weapon to bleed India. That's one consistent Pakistan policy that they followed since 1947. If after this we as Indians do not wake up and speak in one voice against Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror, then we will continue to bleed for centuries to come. Remember, they have said, wo ghaas ki roti khayenge, atom bomb banayenge, and they will continue to bleed India through 1,000 cuts because this is their jihad against kafirs. Now, we need to wake up to the ground reality of Pakistan. They may, their Oxbridge accents and their college clubs may try to paper it over, but beneath the surface, they want to bleed you. Just beware and bleed them harder in terms of finances, in every which way. The harder they bleed, the lesser you bleed.
Okay, all right. Thank you all very much for joining us in this edition of Democratic Newsroom. It did get a little animated, a little noisy, and we apologize for that. But it's a very emotional discussion, a very emotional debate.
I am doing it just to keep my people safe, my country safe.
Called TRP Newsroom.
This is nothing to do with ratings. It may be for some. For us, it's all about keeping Indians safe.
The Democratic Newsroom is very much news without noise, and we aim to do that. It gets a bit emotional sometimes, so we apologize for that, but thank you again for joining.
Noise room. Call it the noise room.